In 1957, the journalist and peer Lord Altrincham published an article criticising the monarchy, arguing that the Queen's public style and the social makeup of the royal court risked causing a rift between the Crown and modern Britain. The article, in which Altrincham compared the Queen's speaking style to that of a priggish schoolgirl,
"It gives me great pleasure to inaugurate this terminal,"
provoked a fierce public response.
All the natural reactions of sensible people to what looked like a very offensive article.
When Altrincham appeared on ITN to defend his views, what began as a debate culminated in a physical confrontation with a member of the public outside ITN. The following footage captures both the intensity of that moment and the wider national argument about the monarchy's role in a rapidly changing society.
Why did you publish your article? I've heard this asked. Why did you publish your article at a time when it would get the maximum press treatment, with Parliament in recess, August bank holiday, the beginning of the silly season for newspapers when there's no big news?
You could just well say it the other way around, that it's a time when people are remarkably apathetic towards anything controversial, when people are pretty well in a stupor. Well, and if we wanted just a concrete point to show how little I anticipated this furore, I didn't increase the print order of my magazine for this month's issue, which I now rather seriously regret.
Now, could I put one point to you? Aren't you falling yourself into the error of expecting the Queen to be endowed with superhuman powers, which is an attitude I'm sure you regret? I mean, to judge from your article, you expect the Queen to have qualities of a wit. You would like her to be a better orator. You would like her to be a TV personality, in addition to being a diligent, dutiful, and devoted monarch and a mother.
No, I didn't. It would certainly be expecting a lot, and it would be expecting the impossible. Not that she may not have many of those qualities, but certainly it'd be impossible to expect people to have qualities that they haven't got. What I'm suggesting is that in her public speeches and appearances, spontaneity should be the keynote. There are obviously certain speeches which have to be rather carefully prepared and which are of their very nature rather ceremonial. But I think that most of her speeches would greatly benefit from being more natural, from even if they're prepared, from seeming to be the sort of speech that she would make, and not obviously made by somebody else and written for her by somebody else.
Of course, there is this problem that Her Majesty's speeches have to be bear in mind certain constitutional matters, and therefore they must be prepared by her constitutional advisors, who may be in Britain or Canada or anywhere all over the world.
I quite agree, and that's what I was thinking of when I said there's a certain type of rather ceremonial speech, which obviously has to be rather carefully mulled over. But let's face it, I mean, there are masses of speeches of a more informal kind, or which should be of a more informal kind, which are at the moment made in a thoroughly formal way. And all I would like to see is the Queen's own character coming through. And I know that if her character is allowed to come through, the effect will be terrific. The effect at the moment is frankly not terrific, and that's not a criticism of her, that's a criticism of the way the thing is organised.
And on whom do you lay the main charge?
Well, now, that is the great difficulty, and I'm so glad you asked me that question. Because, you see, I'm now being attacked for having attacked the Queen. I mean, people say, well, why attack the Queen? Well, indeed, I mean, it's painful to have to. One would much rather not have to, but this is the dilemma. In all those matters where the Queen's power has been taken over by ministers, you can attack the minister if things go wrong. What things that are done in the Queen's name, you attack the minister, not the Queen. But there's a very wide range of activities essential to the good functioning of the monarchy, which are not the responsibility of ministers. The social functions of the monarchy, the political, other than party political functions of the monarchy, all those functions whereby it gives inspiration. Now, who is responsible for that side of things? Not her courtiers. People have made the mistake of thinking that they can attack her courtiers in the way that they attack ministers. They can't, because you attack a courtier, and all he says is, I'm not a responsible minister. I'm merely a paid servant. I'm a hard servant.
What are you suggesting, that it should be a minister for court affairs?
No, I'm not. No, I'm saying that
I'm
saying if the court is wrong, or if the setup is wrong, or if the functioning of the monarchy is wrong in these respects, which are not subject to ministerial responsibility, you have no choice, much as you may dislike having to do it, you have no choice but to criticise the boss. Because only the boss can get rid of the bad servants. She hires them, and she alone can fire them. It's her responsibility. It is not their responsibility. It isn't the courtiers' responsibility. They may be bad. I think many of them are at the moment. But it is not their responsibility in the sense that it's the Minister of the Crown's responsibility.
Well, now, could I refer to one other point you make in your article? You say the Queen would benefit from the advantage of daily contact with an interesting variety of personalities and points of view.
Yeah, I do.
Well, now, I've been looking at her, the number of people whom she's received and has entertained in recent months, and I find that quite apart from the ambassadors and people like the Commonwealth Prime Ministers, she's met the American lawyers, Thomas Beecham, the conductor, the chairman of Lever Brothers, the mayors of Wallasey, Bedlington and Birkenhead, Dr. Evatt, the Australian socialist, the mayor of Lambeth, Miss Pat Smythe, Mr. Joe Grimond, the Liberal leader, Mr. Benjamin Britten, the composer, the General Secretary of the TUC, Sir Vincent Tewson, Miss Flora Robson, Mr. Hugh Gaitskell, and the Director General of the Independent Television Authority, wait a moment, Sir Robert Fraser, Mr. Aneurin Bevan, Mr. Justice Devlin, Mr. Isaiah Berlin, the distinguished Don from your own college at Oxford, David Shepherd, the Test cricketer, not to mention Marshal Volganin and Mr. Khrushchev, whom the Queen entertained at tea at Windsor Castle. Now, this is a fairly varied array of guests to hold conversation with. I mean, are you not being unfair in omitting to comment in your article on the deliberate policy in recent months of entertaining on a broader level?
Well, first of all, the whole of the first part of my article, which was not quoted, and I'm not complaining of that, because after all, the papers have limited space, but the whole of the first part of my article was devoted to saying how magnificently the monarchy has evolved, how much it's changed, how different it is and from what it was. So all that is comprehended. But these many guests and interviews which you have just given me an account of, they're essentially in the nature of brief encounters.
Well, of course, I wasn't there.
They're drawing. No, I wasn't. But I mean, we could look in your court circular. You know the sort of thing. You know the sort of thing they are.
These were special.
I mean, these mayors, for instance, garden party. I think I'm right in saying.
No, they were there when the Queen was on a tour. I don't know how long she spoke to them, nor do I know how long she had conversation with Mr. Aneurin Bevan at all.
Yeah, well, I can tell you, we were at lunch. There was a lunch party. I mean, she couldn't have been sitting next to all of them. She probably said, how do you do to most.
Well, we can't speculate.
We can't speculate. But anyway, it was essentially, even if they sat next to her at lunch, it was essentially a brief encounter. Now, what I was driving at was this, that among her permanent entourage, the people who are with her every day, who sit down to lunch and dinner with her most days, who travel with her in cars when she's motoring about, and on the Britannia when she's going on a wider journey, on a longer journey, there should be a much wider selection of people than there is at the moment.
Yes, you do say.
That's my point.
You do say. I think that there's no point in criticising the Queen's private friends.
No, of course not.
But if I may go on to a final point, do you feel that your judgment on constitutional issues is sound, Lord Altrincham, generally?
Well, I have confidence. Yes. I mean, it's a sort of hopelessly pompous thing to say. My judgment on constitutional questions is sound. I've tried honestly, searching my mind and heart, such as they are, to come to the right answer. I'm quite sure that on this question I have come to the right answer.
Could I ask you a question which might help people to form some judgment as your judgment on constitutional issues? At the time of Suez, you would have liked to have seen Sir Edward Boyle, who is at present Under Secretary of the Ministry of Education, as Prime Minister. You were reported as saying, at the 18th century, at the end of the 18th century, Britain turned to a very young man. The Conservative Party would be well advised to do the same today. And you go on, no man, in my opinion, is now better fitted to lead his party than Sir Edward Boyle. Now, without any detraction to Sir Edward Boyle, whom I know well, that was nonsense, wasn't it?
Well, point out, first of all, it's not a constitutional question, it's a personal question.
Well, the appointment of Prime Minister is a constitutional question.
Well, the method whereby he's appointed is constitutional.
Was that a sensible thing to say?
I'm quite certain. I don't retract that for 1 minute. I think he made a great mistake, Edward, in going back into the government. But I still think he's the best man to lead the Conservative Party.
Well,
and William Pitt, after all, the younger Pitt, was very much younger than he is. When he became leader.
Lord Altrincham, I have to terminate the interview. I'm obliged to you for answering my questions. Next week at this time there will be another edition of Impact. Good night.
Dr. Fisher, can you tell me what the general reactions in America were to the article written by Lord Altrincham criticising the Queen?
The reaction was one of puzzlement. People said to me, I've seen this in the paper, what does it mean? Is there anything in it? Or why is it put out? Why does a man write like that? Very unfortunate, just as she's coming to America, and so on. All the natural reactions of sensible people to what looked like a very offensive article.
And what Lord Altrincham gave to Robin Day recently on our programme, Lord Altrincham said this: among her permanent entourage, meaning the Queen, there should be a much wider selection of people than there is at the moment. Would you care to comment on that?
Well, I know no more about this matter than he does. All I know is this, that so far as I have any power to judge, the Queen's engagements are arranged with great imagination and skill. I happen to know. The Queen came to a school I'm interested in, which is celebrating its 400th anniversary. What did her entourage do? They arranged that she should stay the night in the royal train somewhere, spend the morning visiting Crown Estates in Tutbury, go and call on the mayor of Burton-on-Trent on the way, and after visiting the school, should go and visit a housing estate in Derby, and so forth. I call that imagination.
But I think that this. What I said was that the words which were put into the Queen's mouth by others, words which were written for her, did not suit her. One did not feel that it was her personality which came across.
How very odd. I always feel the words are extraordinarily like her. And if I might dare say so, remembering what she said, I'm not sure that the thoughts of a young girl at confirmation aren't on the whole more pleasant thoughts than the thoughts of Lord Altrincham many years after his confirmation.
Dr. Fisher, can you tell me whether you feel that this article will in any way affect the Queen's reception when she visits America?
Not in the least. The article will be forgotten very soon.